Greetings, welcome to Facts About Everything. I'm your host, James Egan, and today we'll be looking at the country Iraq. Although the Dark Ages is considered to be the worst time in mankind's history, this period was known as the Islamic Golden Age in the Middle East. During this time, Islam spread astronomy, mathematics, philosophy, medicine, literature, physics, and architecture throughout the continent. On top of that, they made major advances in schools and libraries and created the most detailed social welfare at the time. Iraq invented batteries in 600 BC. The currency is the dinar. The city of Najaf has the largest cemetery in the world. It covers 1,485.5 acres and contains 5 million bodies. As you may have noticed, I'm saying Iraq, not Iraq. Iraq is the correct way to pronounce it. Most people make that mistake with many Middle Eastern countries. They call Iran, Iran, Pakistan, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, Afghanistan. Iraq was the first country to recognize and treat post-traumatic stress syndrome. When soldiers would return from battle as early as 1300 BC, they would be overcome with night terrors, flashbacks, depression, panic attacks, and so forth. Up until the 19th century, almost no country on earth strongly considered that mental problems were caused by anything except a witch or a demon. This means that Iraq did this 3,100 years before almost any country in the world. Ancient Iraqi doctors would advise medication, prayer, and therapy for people who suffered post-traumatic stress syndrome. You have to remember, at this time in history, most countries would have asked for a sacrificial ritual or worse. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon supposedly resided in Iraq. I say supposedly because Iraq has no records of these gardens because they never existed. It's a myth. So, sorry. The first legal system was created in Iraq. It was composed of 282 laws, including the famous eye for an eye law. Another law stipulated that a bartender who waters down beer should be executed. I don't think I've ever met anyone who disagrees with that law. The national animal is the golden eagle. The oldest poem in history is the Epic of Gilgamesh. It was written on 12 tablets in 2100 BC in Mesopotamia. The poem is about a demigod who begins a quest for immortality. Despite the fact that the story has clearly influenced countless stories and many religions, there's never been a single film about this incredible story. I've actually already talked about this story in another video. Check it out if you haven't already. In the 1800s, ancient tablets were unearthed in Iraq that highlight the principles of calculus. This was 1400 years before the Europeans supposedly invented this mathematical concept. The ancient Iraqi astronomers used calculus to calculate the position of Jupiter with pinpoint precision. Sargon of Akkad created the world's first empire. He was born in 2450 BC. Sources say he was the son of a priestess and was placed in a basket and abandoned in a river. He was eventually found by a gardener called Aki. As he grew up, Sargon became the cupbearer of the king Baba. Sargon usurped the king's power and declared himself ruler of Kish. Throughout Sargon's reign, his empire spread through all of Mesopotamia as well as Iran, Turkey, and Syria. He formed his own capital called Akkad and became known as the King of the Four Corners of the Earth. I never liked that phrase, four corners of the earth. It's a sphere. Can a sphere have corners? It's not a square. Oil is Iraq's biggest asset. In 1980, it made $27 billion a year by filling 3.5 million barrels. After the US invaded Iraq and caused a lot of damage to the economy, oil production is now 2.5 million barrels a day. The concept that black cats are unlucky originated from Iraq, according to archaeologist Leonard Woolley. On February 15, 2003, 10 million people protested the US plan to invade Iraq. Protesters were from the US, Britain, France, and South Africa. The Iraqi war cost $800 billion. That's more than 1% of all the money in the world. Of the 1.5 million US troops who served, 4,500 died and 30,000 were injured. Between 2003 and 2010, 150,000 Iraqis died. 4 out of 5 of them were civilians. The Iraqi flag says Allahu Akbar, which means God is great. According to the Bible, Abraham was from Ur and Isaac's wife Rebekah was from Nahor. Both locations are in Iraq.
Licorice comes from Iraq. Warriors have been eating it for thousands of years when they realized consuming it stopped them from feeling thirsty.
And the final fact is actually one of my favorite facts of all time. Babylon existed in ancient Iraq. Babylonians have a fascinating way of counting. See, when you first learn how to count, everyone does the same thing. You count your fingers. So naturally, you count to 10. And Babylonians did the same thing, but they did it a very unique way. They counted to 12, but only on one hand, and they didn't use their thumb. So to them, a digit was the left side, the middle side, and the right side of each of the 4 fingers. So they would do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Once they got to 12, they would use their other hand and do this. So each digit in this hand represented 12. They will do this again, obviously get to 24, that's 24. Again, 36. Again,
48.
Again, 60. This is why 12 and 60 are among the most significant numbers in the world. They have been the backbone of almost all number systems in time and math. There are 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, which is divisible by 12, 12 months in a year, 365 days in a year, which is just over 60 by 6. A circle is divided into 360 degrees, and there are 12 signs in the zodiac. Special thanks to these fine people for all their help. Be sure to subscribe to Facts About Everything. Follow me on Twitter for updates on upcoming videos. Check out my Facebook page to let me know what subjects you want me to talk about in the future. Thanks for watching, see you again.